AITA for watching and not doing anything while my wife was being kicked out of my company. Hear me out, just read the whole text. So my wife, female, and I, male, been married for 2 years. I admit that she is a hothead and can be a bit much, especially when she's mad at me. I take responsibility for any mistake Jay make, like not cleaning the bathroom after the shower, or filling her car with gas after using it. I even stand there and let her unload her anger and frustration on me, but only at home and not in public. She tends to start arguing with me in public instead of waiting till we get home. Recently she's been coming to my workplace to berate me over something I did the night before, like not getting the stuff I said I would get or doing the stuff I said I would do. It's embarrassing and humiliating. And has been affecting my job to the point where I started getting a warning after a warning from my superiors, who, I believe, have been very patient and understanding, especially when my wife makes a fuss at the office. Last week I was in the middle of a 2-hour meeting, and next thing I knew was seeing my wife barge in while yelling at me, asking why I was keeping my phone turned off. I was stunned, because my superior and co-workers and potential clients were there. I didn't even move. My superior dealt with it and called security to get her out. My wife started arguing with him, telling him she came for me, then started urging me to get off my seat and tell them to back off. But I didn't. I just watched as security escorted her out. It was horrible because I had a fear that my job was lost. She yelled at me repeatedly to get them to stop, but she got kicked out eventually. I got told she's no longer allowed there and that this was going to be my last warning. I apologized, then went home. She was there waiting, then yelled about me watching and doing nothing. She was getting mistreated and kicked out. I finally snapped and said she was over the line. Made a scene that risked my job over few missed calls. She started crying, saying I still should have defended her after getting humiliated in front of my co-workers, but told her she didn't have to worry about it because she's no longer allowed there. She got more furious and went to her mom's to stay there. Story 2. AITA for refusing to pay for girl's wig after she shaved it because of me. There's this girl that lives in my uni halls. We're not roommates, but we are flatmates. Let's name her Kaya. I met her in September when we started university and moved into halls. We're not best friends, but we are friendly. We don't really spend much time together. Over time, my friends noticed that Kaya tried to copy me in everything. It started slowly, accessories and some clothes. Nothing major. I didn't even notice until people started pointing it out to me. I have a rather distinct style, and she started copying it. I don't know the style and she's free to wear what she likes, but it's the exact same copies of my outfits, which is very odd. But then, it started going further. I dyed my hair. She dyed her hair. I bought something for my room. She bought the same thing. I started chatting with a guy. She became obsessed with that guy to a point that whenever I had a male friend or guy I was interested in over, she would go out of her way to try and get their attention, coming down to the kitchen in nothing but a towel, etc., and she would do anything to attract attention. Now, don't get me wrong. I couldn't care less if the guy was looking, and even if it was my boyfriend looking, I'd have a beef with him, not her, but the blatant attention-seeking behavior was just odd. I joined societies and sports, and after she found out, she joined the same ones I did. Basically, everything I do, she copies eventually. It's just really creepy, but I haven't said anything. I wouldn't even know what to say. Over the Easter break, my friend and I were at my family house, a bit drunk, and decided to test out whether Kaya really copies everything I do. I made a post on social media about shaving my head. My friend does hairdressing and she helped me out faking shaved head, and I posted a photo with shaved head. I deleted the photo few days later and forgot about this whole thing. After Easter break was over, we had uni exams and I was focusing on that. Imagine my shock when I came back and Kaya had shaved head, and she was pissed when she saw me. She started shouting how I lied to her, and why would I do that? She went on and on and on, really angry. Admittedly, I ignored her and hid in my room. She sent me a text telling me that she expects me to pay for her wig as it's my fault she shaved her head. I replied that absolutely not, that it was not my fault and she decided on her own to do that. She kept attacking me over it every time I saw her. My exams start tomorrow, and yesterday I received an email from my university asking me for a meeting over the issue. She reported me to uni over something she's done. I am genuinely confused. Was I really in the wrong? AITA for pretending to shave my head and refusing to pay for her wig. Story 3. AITA for calling police on a neighbor after she keyed my car because of books I write. I am a single woman in my early 30s, making my living writing and self-publishing adult fiction. By adult fiction, I mean adult fiction with majority of the plot being steamy. I don't typically tell people what I write, but I do tell them I write books for a living under a pen name. I am not hiding it per se, but I am not telling everyone I meet what I do for a living, and none of my neighbors knew. Only a bunch of friends. I live in a house alone. Pretty much of all my neighbors are either young families or retired couples. My next door neighbor is a young couple. We've been polite to each other but haven't been close or anything. Lately, the husband, let's call him Roger, became very friendly towards me, which I tried to ignore, but he's been getting too flirty for my liking, and I started avoiding him. They had a BBQ over the bank holiday weekend, and I was taking rubbish out to put in my bin. Roger looked at me, waved hi and whispered something to his friend, and they both watched me very carefully, which was incredibly creepy. On my way through my garden, I saw Roger's wife leaving the house with her friend, and they both looked at me with disgust and whispered something to each other. It was weird and I hurried back inside. The next morning, I found some religious leaflets put through my letterbox. They were just printed on normal printer paper, and were warning about lustful behavior leading to hell, etc. Threw them away but kept finding similar leaflets put through my letterbox for the next week. Since I am working from home, I decided to see who's leaving those leaflets, and to my surprise, it was Dahlia. I decided to confront her and ask to stop putting religious leaflets through my door. Despite me being polite, she was not happy. She told me that I should rethink my life because what I write is disgusting, and she found her husband reading it at night. And you can imagine doing what. She kept going on and on how I am going to burn in hell, how I have no morals, etc. Well, I told her to stay away from me and discuss this with her husband, and I closed the door in her face. Don't know who, but someone told them what I do for a living. A day later, I found the word SLT painted on my door. A few days later, I caught her keying my car. She was almost done with the word WHRE. Well, I called the police on her, and since I installed cameras after the SLT incident, she is being taken to court over keying my car. I talked to my other neighbor about it, and she told me that I went overboard. That Dahlia was clearly insecure, but she's a lovely woman and great mother, and I should have talked to her instead of calling the police and give her a chance to change her behavior. AITA for calling the police and not giving Dahlia a chance.